up, blessed ones? You are now blaring the podcast. Brought to you by AB1 Studios. Thank you for your time. Listening. You wanna know something else, blessed ones? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Wherever you are in this world, thank you for taking the time out of your moment to spend with me. Right now, I want to take this time to have a moment of silence for a brother, a friend, a minister, Pastor Steve Peacock, who passed last week. His funeral was today. I missed it, but the love is still certain and God is still good. So I want to have this moment of silence. Now, I won't be here for you long. Yet, of course, I've always say that. Also, George Foreman passed away this week. So a moment of silence for him. Yeah, I just want to get that out of the way. So a lot's been going on with me, with life, with the culture, with everything. And I know, like I've told you many, many times, I've been trying to redirect and rebrand, the podcast. And, I'm still working in, trying to, adapt and adjust to, my mind and my heart on certain things. However, I want to take a second to acknowledge what's been going on and pretty much everything. We have LeBron and Stephen A. We have Just Hilarious and Lauren Laverne. We have I'm not in that world, so I'm not even going to talk about that. We got just so much, even like with Anthony Mackie, as far as like his sons and a lot of, and the way that he had, talked about how, hard work doesn't breed success. Like there's been a lot that's been going on. And I just want to tell y'all, I'm not going to sit here and say it's a small world. I'm not going to sit here and say life is short because these are all things that we know. These are all things that it is really just to each his own. Like, if you feel like life is short, then, you got to do what you need to do. You have to, you know, go ahead and do everything. Don't think about it. Just do it. If life is too short for you to think, to consider, to dissect, to just to do things that you need to do the right way, by all means do it. Because even for myself, and I'm very transparent when I say this, even with my age, I've made a lot of I had a lot of missteps. I have made a lot of mistakes. I still continue to make mistakes. I still continue to try to go the path that was for me. And a lot of that requires guidance, not from social media, not from your friends. I'm even going to say not even from your family, but at the same time, we still have to acknowledge that our family and friends are important, and we should respect and honor our parents. However, when you seek God and seek Christ, and again, I'm not trying to push this on anyone, but when you really have a foundation, and your foundation comes from Christ, comes from Jesus, comes from the Most High Almighty God, things look a little bit different. You're going to have a lot of friends that turn their back. You're going to have a lot of people that talks down. You're going to have a lot of people that's not even going to believe. You're going to have a lot of people that's not even going to, subscribe or even believe in you. And I'm going to say it as I always say it, is that is okay. You're not everybody's cup of tea. It's unfortunate because I would hope and I believe that we all want each other to win and to be at the top of the top. And even going on with, just hilarious and learn the Breakfast Club, know that it's like, okay, we can all have our opinions. Fine. I have my opinions. I share my views. But we have to remember, whatever you present to the general public, to the population, that's what they're going to judge it on. So, if people feel like Jess is wrong, people feel like she's a crybaby, some people feel like this and that, no matter what side you're on, just remember, hey, just be mindful what you're talking about. This isn't something that isn't we can all be in people's business when it's entertaining, but then when things get serious and somebody decide to come up with you and punch in the face, then it's like, all right. So my main thing is if you're going to speak negative on someone, whether you're right or wrong, just remember, you might not see them, but just the way my mind works is I say things, I express how I feel about it. I can have my views on it, but I'm also mindful that what I say, I'll double down on it. If my opinion change, I'll say my opinion change. It's okay. I'm not sitting here saying we have to be self-righteous or self-glorified. We just have to be better on when we judge certain things that we don't know what we're talking about. And it goes to the same instance to where this whole talk now about who are you going to pick? If your spouse and your child is in the water and you're drowning, who are you choosing? And a lot of parents, I say they're picking a child. Now, I don't know if they're married. I don't know if they're not married. And it also goes back where it's like, okay, So let me ask this question for the ladies, because this is really mainly who we hear a lot from. From what I gather and from what I've been getting information from, it's like if you're in the woods with a man or a bear, let's be honest, who are you going to pick? Personally, I always felt like, hey, it's a no-brainer. You're going to, like, it's a man. You know, like, are men really that bad that you would choose the bear? Because I'm gonna tell you, like, I don't know if you're a zoologist or a bearologist, or what, like, if you know bears, like, hey, a bear can still attack you unprovoked because it's a bear, and you're in the woods, so that's their habitat. So just think about how bad you look at men or view men or experience men that you will pick a bear over a man. So it's almost kind of like, maybe when we think about it, yeah. Now the spouse and the child thing is a little bit more complicated because you have to think about biblically. I mean, it's an impossible decision. I mean, it's not really as hard. I mean, not really as easy as people would say. And maybe it is because a lot of people can be, they're not married and they'll say, yeah, I'm picking my child no matter what. And it's like, hey, it's, of course, this is a child. But sometimes when we ask these hypothetical questions, we always seem to answer in a sense of how we feel at the moment, but if you actually get put in that scenario, some people will stand on it. Other people will fold and say, "Oh, you know what? Nah," because I'm gonna tell you, this is just all fun and games and everything. But let's think about it in this sense. Like I mentioned before, Dr. Umar, his daughter came out and addressed that, hey, I'm trying to get in touch with my sister. I'm not here to expose or bash him or do none of that stuff, but it's like you have a man, an intelligent man, worldly man who has two girls, and he's talking about black power and keeping relationships within the race. And I'm down for that. And whatever other personal business he's dealing with, it is his. I mean, I'm not one of those people who say, "Oh, how can you say this but you're doing this?" It's like, okay, maybe it's hypocritical, but I'm gonna be honest. To me, the way that I look at it, the type of father he is doesn't have anything to do with his messaging. Because at the end of the day, whether that's what he's standing on now, there's a time where, okay, he had children, he hasn't been married. So my thing is, I don't really much care too much about the messenger, but I care about the message. And maybe that could be my flaw. So all I'm saying is we have to be mindful on how we come at people. We have to be mindful on, you know, how we receive things. Trauma is real. Trauma bonding is real. And whether it's gaslighting, whether you're a narcissist, whether you're a hypocrite, whether you're contradicting yourself, whether you're just someone who's just trying to get clout and trying to get views. It's like, okay, how do this resonate with me? How do I use this to my ability? Because whatever like I said, whatever Dr. Umar is saying, it's right. But not everybody's going to. A lot of times, people look more at what someone's doing wrong, because we do have to take accountability for what we do. We do have to take accountability for what we say. But I think sometimes when certain things are presented to us, whether we're involved or whether we're outside looking in, we're always gonna, and I'm gonna be careful when I say this too, because it's not everyone, but a lot of us will look at where it's coming from, because it's almost like, what have you done for me lately? Then what have you done? And a lot of times, two wrongs don't make a right, but it's like you can be right 99 times, but that one wrong, whether you was wrong at 56 or even the last thing you did, that, like, they say you're as good as your last fight. You are as good, like, you're as faithful as your options. What have you done for me lately? So a lot of times people, we're in the digital era on a big scale. We're in the digital era where, like, most of our information is coming from the internet. And as much as we would probably like to believe everybody that gets on there and say something, we just can't, because people, like, we are, a lot of us are a reflection of what we see. So I think sometimes, even when you're going through hard times, you might go on YouTube or you might listen to music, try to escape, the reality of what you're dealing with. So now you have someone online, or someone even at work, and say, oh, this person is going through this, so I'm gonna talk about this person. I'm gonna speak bad on this person, because I gotta express my opinion. Everybody has something to say, of course. Everybody does. And one thing, that I have learned, hold on one second. Anyway, sorry. I'm again, the dopamine is real, but I just want, because again, I say this all the time. I could be lying. There's always going to be moments where, I get caught up as well in the politics of the culture. I get caught up in everything that's going around me. But I always want to send out a good, positive message, because that's mainly who I am. I have moments where I might, I'll joke with my family, joke with the community, and say things. It could be true or not, but it's like, hey, I'm engaging. So there's times where we can have a good time and have fun and do that, but there's certain things where the tone of a lot of folks are like, oh, this is personal. And it goes back into where like, hey, we all gonna pick and choose. We pick and choose who we want to listen to. We pick and choose who we want to, disregard. But I think it's all, everybody kind of has their reasons for it, and I'm not gonna sit here and hate on anybody and be like, okay, this person is getting more attention than this person, and they're saying the same thing. Sometimes the algorithm just works that way, but I always think about, you know, what is it like? What's going on? It's almost kind of like the Bill Cosby thing, and I say this a lot. It's like, this man, you know, word it's been where he used to always kind of get on comedians about cussing on their acts, and he always wanted to kind of wanted to share a little more insightful, more educational message. And even for people who worked under him, encourage them to, go to school and everything. And then we found out in the 70s, 60s, he was, spiking women's drinks and all that. Now, at the end of the day, he's wrong for that. And whether it was part of the culture or not, it's like, okay, so I want to get something cleared up. If anybody's able to answer, I'll be checking my comments, I'll be checking my emails. I want to just understand if you have done dirt or done something deemed wrong or un unmanly or unwomanly, something irresponsible, something crazy out of pocket, whether it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, however many years ago, but then you have reformed, been redeemed, served your time or done duties and stuff, you're not able to speak on it because you've done it. It's almost like where I mean, I know a lot of people aren't parents, but how does parents feel about that? I'm not going to talk about R. Kelly today, but it's like the same thing with that. It's like, why can't someone who's experienced it tell somebody, hey, don't do this, or this is wrong to do? Because it's not about do what I say, not what I do. It's more so about, hey, make better decisions. What's done is done. I mean, if you didn't serve, like if you didn't do your time for it, then it still doesn't take away from what you're saying. And again, and I think maybe, and it could be in a sense of where if the devil comes up and tells you to do something, we look at it and say, well, that is a trickery, because the devil's a trickster. He doesn't mean any good. So it goes back again to where it's okay, it's not about that person, it's about you. A lot of our comments, a lot of our emotions, a lot of our feelings, a lot of our rebuttals are not about the person that delivered the message, but it's about us. Because I'm big on holding people accountable, but I'm also big on forgiveness and grace. Some people might not deserve the benefit of the doubt, but there's other people who deserve grace. But okay, are you still doing this? But that's the thing, we don't dig deep enough. We only look at what's on the surface because that's all we have. We all gonna have an opinion on it, but I don't believe that we always should share our opinion. We can't share our opinion on every single thing. So maybe that's where, people minding their business need to come in. It's like, okay, does this affect you directly? I don't want to hear any, rhetorical words like, oh, that could have been, that could have been you, that could have been your child, that could have. It's like, yes, anything could have been us, but it's also where it's like, all right, what is the overall message that someone's sending out? And that's pretty much all I have. So just be mindful. But as always, be safe, stay productive, and positive. This is Blair. I'm out.